Hi guys, it's me again. I'm getting a few requests for a nighttime look and for winged eyeliner. So I'm going to kind of give you an updated look on how to take your daytime look into the night. A few things you're going to need. I've got a few go-to brushes that I like to use. I just have a small blush brush. This one is from Cover FX number 160. I'm also going to be using, this one's by Inglot. It's a really small, dense brush, really good for getting just a small bit of eyeshadow in the corner. This one's called 13P. And I'm also going to be using a Quo brush that has a flatter, soft brush for blending, as well as another Inglot brush. This one doesn't have a name, but it's kind of a flat, long-haired brush. Angle brush. This is my favorite angle brush. It's by Lise Watier. It's called, I think it's worn off. It's for eyebrows though specifically. And that is it for my brushes. I can list them in the link below. I am also going to be using my all-time favorite liquid liner. It's a felt tip pen. Especially if you're just learning or if you find that you don't have a steady hand, I find this gives you a guide while you're applying it, and it's called the Feline Eyeliner HD. It's around $20, maybe $22, something like that, but I love it. Whenever I do liquid liner, I always use black, whether you're young, old, doesn't matter. I find it gives you the most definition and really makes the eyes pop, especially for photography. My go-to mascara is the L'Oreal Voluminous Original. You can get this on sale for $5.99 at Walmart, and I swear by it. I use it in my kit. I like the formulation. I've been using it for years. Every time I go and I spend $30 or whatever on a mascara, I always end up back at this one, just because I find I go through it so quickly, and you have to throw them out every 6 months anyway. I've been using this blush a lot lately. It's called Fleur Power by MAC. I find it's a very good universal, sorry guys, the lighting isn't good. It's like a universal peachy pink color. And I'm also going to be using a Chanel brow kit. If you don't want to invest in the brow kit, you can use a taupey color eyeshadow to match your brows, or depending on if you have darker hair, lighter hair, go with it. I love this, and I haven't even made a dent in it, and I've had it for at least 4 or 5 years, so I think it's a worthy investment. I am going to be using, these were actually gift with purchases from Lancome, but they do sell the colors. I'm going to be using this one, which is called Backstage Pass. It's a deep eggplant color. And I'm also going to be using a, it's a part of a quad, but it's a champagne kind of beigey white color. And there is a shimmer in it, so it works really well for highlighting. I find you can get away with a bit more shimmer at night than in the day, depending on your preferences and your comfort level. So that's all you need for this look. Well, this enhanced look from day to night. So I'm one that usually likes to do the eyes first and then the foundation after, because I find it's an easier cleanup. But one tip that I do like to use on myself and on my clients, if you're going to be using a darker shadow, I just take a tissue, fold it up, and I actually place it underneath my eye, and I'll hold it because I'm right-handed. I'm using my left hand. I'm taking my small brush, getting it in the Backstage Pass, so again, that deep purple color, and I'm just going right on the outer corner here and blending out. The key to applying eyeshadow is blending, and you can see already that's made a difference. Depending on how dramatic you want it, you can bring it up more into your crease and kind of make it into more of a point, or your eyeshadow, where you apply your eyeshadow. So what I sometimes like to do is actually go right along the lash line, and that gives it kind of a smoky look. So if you don't want to commit to a full lid full of dark shadow. Again, you can just go right along and blend out. So I might be a little bit quicker just because I'm a little bit more experienced in this, but the key to making an eyeshadow look nice and not look like a paint by numbers is blending. So I usually use multiple colors. So right now I have a gold color on here, and then I have a bronze color, and then I have my highlight color, which is that champagne, already on my eye. But I'm just going to work at the corner color about 1/4 over, but really blended, and then again lining the eye and bringing it up into a point. That's all I really want to do right now for the top. And then I'm going to line the bottom a little bit fatter. And depending on your age and your eye shape, you might not want to do it as much as I have. I'm taking my second brush and kind of blending it. This is that flat brush because I didn't like the shape it made. So now you can see already from one eye to the next, it's a lot more defined, and that's just from not having eyeshadow. So if you ever feel like you don't have a steady hand, or if you don't really have the time to mess around with an a liquid eyeliner, because I don't recommend doing it 5 minutes before you have to be somewhere important because you tend to get frustrated. Again, I'm going to do the same thing to the other eye and bring it out to the corner. So again, it's a Lancome color. It's called Backstage Pass. I'm using my tissue to block because I already have makeup on from earlier today. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but the more you kind of blend, the better the look will be. And again, I'm just going to take that small brush and line underneath my eye. And it's always easier to add than to take away. So that's kind of it for the dark shadow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fat Quo brush, which I love this one, I use it all the time, and I'm just going to go right underneath the brow. I find when you do a highlighter that's a bit more shimmery, if you've got smooth eyelids, I don't recommend this for a very mature person. If you have wrinkly eyelids, it tends to show more, but immediately it lifts up your brow and it will add light. I also always take some more, and just, you don't even have to be perfect, I just add it right to the tear ducts and the corners. I don't know if you can see what's better here. And then I'm going to actually go in with the Chanel Brow Kit. Because I'm doing an evening look, for day I have the middle color here, but for night I'm actually going to go through, I've got kind of ombre darker brown hair. I'm going to go in through with my angle brush and apply it to my brows. The biggest trick that I can say for eyebrows, if you find that they're a little bit sparse, is say if your eyebrow is darkest here, always start directly after the darkest part and kind of fan out. One thing that I hate, and it's a big trend right now, and I know a lot of people that do it, and I hope I don't get any flack for this, but I hate that really squared off, completely filled in brow. It looks like paint by numbers. It looks ridiculous. I absolutely can't stand it. It just makes you look really fake, and I mean, I can be really dramatic with my makeup, and obviously it's not natural, but you never want your brows to look so overdone that anybody can pick up on the fact that you've colored them in. Ideally, you want them to look like you have naturally full brows, which is why I always recommend doing a brow powder over a pencil. I know some people like pencils. If you're light-handed, you can tend to use them, but I do find a lot of people tend to really draw on their brows, whereas I'm shading them in. So again, I'm going to start after the darkest part, and I'm kind of using smaller strokes to blend. And I'm sticking with the natural shape of my brow, but I'm definitely making them more defined. So you can see, and I'm bringing up the color more than I did for the daytime to really give off that polished look. You can see immediately like that eyebrow looks like it's raised. So again, I'm going to go over and do the exact same thing on the other side. And then what I do when I get to the head of the eyebrow is I actually take the angle and I just follow kind of the bottom, like almost drawing a line right here, and then I just kind of blend up, but I don't color it in completely. You can see even, I know this lighting's awful, but even you can see the difference, right? It's definitely a darker tail than it is the head, and that's naturally what most eyebrows do. I know with my eyebrows, the hair grows straight up and then the other hair goes kind of down on an angle. I do really recommend shading in your brows. I don't know very many people that don't have to do it. If you're really awful with it, there are things you can do, like get your eyebrows tattooed. You want to be careful with who you get to tattoo your brows. You definitely want to go with somebody that has more of a natural look. Again, the trend right now is huge brows, but stay true to the face of your shape and have an expert kind of recommend that. Just because you like somebody like Kara, or is it Kara? Kara, that really hot model right now, and she has those big full brows, doesn't mean that the stature of your face can handle something like that. So definitely stick with what works on your own face. That's it for the brows. So now what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of my blush, because at nighttime it's a little bit darker. You can handle a little bit more blush, and a trick that I like to do on majority of people is to actually apply the blush on the apples of the cheeks in smaller sections, but instead of doing a circle or a racing stripe all the way to the back, I kind of do a wedge. So a wedge goes from big to small, and I just kind of feather it out that way. So I start with the majority on my cheek, and then you can see the way I'm flicking the brush. So if you wanted to do some contouring, you could do a darker contour here and a highlight there. This blush tends to be a nice shade on everybody, and it looks a little bit more natural. I do have on bronzer already. I have on a face bronzer because I'm really against tanning your face. I use an SPF every single day of 50. That's in my moisturizer. If you guys want my skincare regime, I can also give you that. But I do use a face moisturizer by Elizabeth Arden Pro that has an SPF 50. It's called Triple Action Protector. And then throughout the day, because I do wear makeup, I use a Colorescience product that's a powder that comes with a brush built in, and I find I top up with that. And other than that, I'm using a product by Read Tan, and it's a company from the UK that's now being sold at Sephora, and it's a gradual tan. So I apply the express mousse on my body, and then for my face, because my face tends to be a little lighter and I do wear a bronzing powder anyway, I use the gradual tan. And I can give you more details on that. That was just kind of a side note. Okay, so for the liquid liner, on myself, I find on my right eye, which is my dominant hand, I go from the inner corner out, but on my left eye, I have to go from my outer corner in. I'm not sure why. Sometimes you just have to switch it up and see what works for you, because I've seen people apply it in a million different ways. But hopefully you can see this. So when I'm applying it, I close my eyes. I try and close them gently. If you squeeze your eye, you're going to get a pucker. If you do have wrinkly eyes, you might have to guide your, use your finger and guide. You can use your other hand like this. I don't like to pull my skin unnecessarily. I'm really trying to do as much anti-aging as possible. So what I do is I just close my eye gently, and I start with the thinnest point in the corner, and I go as close to the lash line as possible. There's nothing worse than seeing a gap between your lash line and your liquid liner or your pencil liner. Another tip that you can try if you do really struggle with this is don't do your eyeshadow first, do a pencil liner first so that you have a guideline when it comes to applying the liquid liner. So I go right along the lash line, and then I go kind of out using the thin end this way. So I start off, I use the thin end on this end, go to the middle, and then I kind of flip and go out to in. And I just make sure that's as smooth as possible. Sorry guys, the lighting is really bad here. And then what I do is, where I naturally crease, I always want to go above that. Now, if you have downturned eyes, I don't know if you know what that is, but if your eyes have a crease or a slant here, you will struggle more applying this. Certain eye shapes are just more challenging. If you have a really bad crease or a double crease, your cat eye might have to be very exaggerated, or you might have to give up and just kind of accept the fact that you can't do a cat eye. But for me, I'm going to go through and do this. But Q-tips will be your best friend, and my only advice is just practice, practice, practice. And don't always practice before you have to be somewhere. Practice when you're not doing anything on a Sunday or something like that. Okay, so again, I usually end up doing it this way and then going over. You can see I've obviously done this before. I'm a little bit fast moving, but if you are struggling, do bit by bit. Kind of open, look, check. You tend to be a little bit asymmetrical, so you might have, like I've got a very large open eye, but you might have a smaller or bigger crease, so you might have to adjust the width accordingly, and depending on where you're going and how much drama you want. So again, then I go and I use my thin tip on the corner, because I don't want it to be as wide on both sides. And then I'm going back, and I kind of just do a check. And sometimes what happens is they just get wider and wider and wider, and sometimes I'm okay with it because I'm comfortable with makeup, and it's just for a day, so it washes off if you're really unhappy. But sometimes I end up doing a really big, thick cat eye, and it doesn't bother me. Other days, I apply it really thin. But this is honestly a savior for me. I used to use the MAC Pod, and I used another one from Chanel that you have to wet your brush and then dip it in, and they work, but I find this is a lot easier to train people and to train yourself, and I'm just so good with it now. Like I don't find it catches. So I made that one a little thicker, so I'm going to go back and forth, and I do find I go back and forth and it takes time. So if you don't want to spend the 5-10 minutes, 15 sometimes, that it takes, I've heard of people putting tape here, like evening out tape, so that you don't get, so that you have a straight line to follow, but I find that's enough for me. And then I always add more mascara, especially at night, and whatever mascara you use, I just find it kind of wears out through the day. My biggest mascara tip is to actually wiggle at the base. So I wiggle, I deposit the majority of the mascara there, and then I pull up as I twirl. So you can see I'm kind of twirling the wand, and I really comb it through until I get my lashes straight. I'm a big mascara person. I like a little bit more volume, especially for night, and I really like to make sure that I get a good amount on those little lashes, because those really do end up adding to the overall look. And then if you ever find that it gets clumpy, back to that Lise Watier brush. I absolutely love it. It does have kind of a dry mascara wand on the end, or you can buy disposable ones. And if I don't like something, I just comb it through with a dry one, and it gets rid of the clumps. So again, wiggle at the base and roll up. And then I kind of comb through. I get a lot more. And then for the bottom, I do like applying a little bit, but I never like as much on the bottom. That being said, my lashes aren't that great, and sometimes I end up with a bit of transfer because on this side, for whatever reason, they hit. So I just apply it kind of on the top, of the lashes on the bottom. I don't actually go underneath and do it the same way. So wiggle, 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 and brush through. And I mean, you can spend hours applying your mascara, but that's enough for me today. I'll probably go with more of a bold look on my lips. And in regards to what I talked about last time, my Superstay 24 color in shade 055. This is my first YouTube video. I got told that I should have shown how to apply it. So I'm going to actually apply this too. So sorry, this is an add-on. How I do it on myself is I go at the Cupid's bow, brush down, go at the Cupid's bow, brush down, and then I just apply it like a gloss. I do like to make sure I get it right in the corners, and I always work it in. If you work it in, it just makes sure that it gets in all those little creases and everything else. You have to let this one dry a minute, so sometimes I'll do this and then I'll curl my hair or whatever, and then I'm sure you can figure this one out, but just applying your clear balm, and voila! I look a little bit more polished, a little bit more done up, and I'm ready to go out on the town, even though I'm not. But anyway, thank you for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on my other sources of social media, so thank you. I hope this covers the winged eyeliner and day to night look. Subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram under Blushworthy or Twitter under Kaylee Brammer. And if you want the details of any of the products used, see below, and I'll list even what I'm wearing on my face and everything else. But thanks, guys.